Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie Ledwell, and this is the Inspiration Show. Today on the show, I have a very good friend of mine who has a new book coming out called Warrior Mums. And we're going to be talking about what it means to be a warrior mum and how to, have this mindset to be able to help you achieve everything that you want in life. Because, that's what this is what warrior mums do. But before I introduce my special guest, I just want to remind you that after the show is over, don't forget to click the link below this video so you can download the free ebook version of my best-selling book, In Your Wildest Dreams. So let me please introduce my special guest, JJ Virgin. Hi, JJ. How are you?
By the way, Natalie, you can be a warrior mom, a warrior dog mom.
There you go. I am a dog mom for sure. And I would do anything for Bella, as you would
obviously. Obviously. And she makes you do just about anything for her too. She's got you wrapped, my friend.
Around her little paw, exactly. Exactly. So JJ and I have been friends for a number of years, and you may recognize JJ from the Virgin diet and the sugar impact diet. So this seems to be a little bit of a digression from what you normally do, JJ. So tell us a little bit about the book and what was your motivation behind writing it?
So it's very interesting because you know the story. For those of you who didn't hear about this, when the Virgin diet was coming out, my son, who was 16, was the victim of a hit and run and literally left for dead in the street. He was crossing the street, got hit by a car. That woman got out of her car, gasped, drove off. And thankfully, a neighbor came to the rescue, had him airlifted to a local hospital. And when we got there, they said that he had a torn aorta that kills 90% of the people on the scene, and that he had to have that fixed or he was going to die within the next 24 hours. But he also had multiple brain bleeds, so they couldn't do this surgery at that hospital. And they told us, he's never going to survive another airlift. And even if he does, he wouldn't survive that surgery. And even if he survived both, he'd be so brain damaged it wouldn't be worth it. And my 15-year-old son's looking at this guy, and he's like a little mini Einstein, very mathematical. And he looks and he goes, so maybe a 0.25% chance. And the doctor says, that sounds about right. And he goes, well, we'll take those odds. He looks at me, he goes, it's not zero, right? But here's where this interesting shift happened. And really it's kind of given me a much deeper, bigger purpose behind all my health books, because the Virgin diet was drop 7 foods, lose 7 pounds, just 7 days. It was set up to use elimination diet as a weight loss tool. But here I am in the hospital getting ready to launch this book. I'm the financial support for my family. If this book doesn't go, I'll be bankrupt. And I've now got a kid who I don't know what this is going to take to get him through this, and get him back to 110%, but I'm going to do it. And I realized that he's in the ICU. He's got 13 fractures, a tube coming out of his brain, a central line, a ventilator. You can't go in there sick, You're gloved up, masked up in a gown. And I thought, the only way I'm going to be able to pull this sucker off is if I put my health and myself first, which is so counterintuitive for us women, right, Natalie? Like, so often you look at your to-do list and like your eating, your sleeping, your exercise, like where the heck did they go? So it made me realize that for so many of us, what is holding us back in our lives beyond our mindset, which is obviously the first thing, is our health. And that in order to really take care of your family and do the amazing work we were all put here to do in the world, it really has to start with this shift of putting yourself and your health first, and getting out of that mindset that that's a selfish thing, to thinking more that that's really a selfless thing. Like, it's that whole be the change you want to see in the world. If you want to have healthy kids, if you want to have, healthy spouse, like, it's got to start with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know, like you said, I know the story. So you're juggling, the doctors basically nearly every day telling you how, Grant is not going to survive.
Yeah.
All the reasons why things aren't going to work. You've got trying to do like a book launch. And like you said, financially, everything was on the line for you.
Everything.
So how do you get, like, what kind of a mindset were you in? Like, I know that health was important to you, but did health contribute to the mindset that you had to adopt to be able to get through that?
So here's what's really interesting, because we queried our community couple years ago and said, okay, now if you're not where you want to be with your health, why not? And I thought, you're going to love this, Nat, because I thought they'd say, oh, I can't give up my cheese.
I don't know who else can't do that.
I don't know. I've heard it a couple times. But I fully expected to be, oh, it's sugar, it's cheese, blah, 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 right? It wasn't. They said, I don't feel worthy. Like, what? I don't feel worthy. Now, fortunately for me, and this is why this is so important. This is why I love what you do with my movies. I love all your programs, because the time to have the mindset drilled in to be able to do this is not when the crisis hits, right? It's like if the hurricane's coming, right, you've got to make sure you already like put up all the wood on the windows way ahead of time, not when it's hitting landfall. So in my early 30s, I had a mindset coach. I thought she was my business coach. And, you know, she didn't even teach me one bit of business for 6 months because she says, you're not ready yet. It was my own personal Mr. Miyagi. And she taught me really what it takes to create an environment, a supportive environment, to feel free to go out there and, you know, be scared, but do it anyway. What you needed to do every day, starting with gratitude. I mean, this all came down to managing my mindset so tightly to be able to stand up to these doctors who kept telling me all this doom and gloom crap that wasn't going to, you know, to what I needed to do to be so clear on that visualization and manifestation of my son being 110%, right? That he was a warrior, that he could pull this off. But I had that all in me. And I just brought it into that hospital. I managed that environment so carefully. I didn't let any of those doctors say any of that crap around Grant, like he wasn't going to wake up or he wasn't going to walk again, because, and this is really, really important. You know, we both know you get what you expect, right? And turns out Grant could hear me, and I knew he could. And he's had the whole near-death experience. He went to the other side. He said it was like, it's apparently super amazing there, way better than here. And he kept hearing me say, talk to him and tell him what it was going to be like here and what, you know, and when the gray man was basically saying, hey, do you want to stay here or do you want to go there? And he's like going, it's so much nicer on the other side, but I've got work to do here. So he stayed. And that's really, it's just a bigger picture. It's so important to manage your environment. You never know who's listening. Most important, you're the one listening.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the thing is, how you show up and who you are and your energy and the example that you are for your family and everyone around you is super important as well.
Well, yeah, it's everything. You know, you brought that up, and I'm so glad you did, because you'll have people say, oh my gosh, I'm sorry I was such a witch, but I was just so stressed. I'm like, but that's who you are. At the very core is when you're stressed, that's who you are. And so, like, what do we know about life? Like, crap's going to happen. And it is how you show up. And you know you're going to go through those challenges. And that's really when you want your best self to be there. And so you got to train for it, right?
Yeah. So do you have to be, so in the book, you're talking about, you know, warrior mums, are you giving us specific things that we can do to get our mindset into that place?
You know, because I spent, and here's the craziest part of all of this. I'm going through this whole situation in the hospital. Other people are going, how the heck are you doing this? Well, I was just in action. I wasn't thinking, I think I'll do some gratitude work and then I'll, you know, do some tapping. I just had it in me. But afterwards, people were like, okay, how did you do it? And I go, I don't know, you know, and I had to sit down and go, what were the tools that I used, which is what I put in the book. And what's important is they're very actionable things that anyone can do. And that's what I wanted to do. I didn't just want to write a story. I wanted to write a story that also took you through the process so that you can say, okay, here's what I can do to start the day. Okay, if someone does something crappy to me, because they will, how do I go about forgiving them so it doesn't have a hold on me? How do I set myself free? So I literally go through this and share with you every single thing that I went through and the tools I used to be able to keep going through that and make what was really the worst time one of the most amazing experiences of my, you know, it is the most amazing experience of my life. And my kids will tell you they are better because of it. You know, our whole family is, because, you know, easy lives don't make us better people.
They don't.
No.
You're right. And that's the thing that I love about, the book and what we do is here as well, is that in retrospect, you can go back and go, okay, well, yeah, like I didn't realize that when we were doing our My Movies launch, when we'd leave the apartment and go down to the dog beach and have these conversations in present tense, like the launch was already done, how much of an impact that made and how much of a good tool that is. So can you share like one of the tools that you share with us in the book to really help us get into that warrior mindset?
Well, here's one that I'll tell you. The first thing that I did from day one is and I think it's all about asking the right questions. I was like, how do we get you to be 110%? Because they said, Grant, you're going to be 110%. And then it was put out to everywhere, to all of my doctor friends. Okay, what you got? Because he's going to be 110%. How do I get him to be 110%? It's what I've lived with. And truthfully, that's what's given me the hope to keep going when it didn't look like he was going to wake up. It didn't look like he'd ever walk. All these things kept showing up. He comes out of a coma and stares off into space and moves an arm back and forth for days on end, making no eye contact. Oh my gosh. But then the other thing that really helped me do this, because it's up to you to manage your mindset. No one's going to do this one for you. No one's going to ping you in the morning and go, hey, did you do your gratitude work yet? It's got to become just like flossing your teeth. So every morning, 3 things I'm grateful for. And I think that there's something about physically writing it down that makes all the difference. Mm-hmm. And then end of the day would be my little wins. What were the miracles that happened that day that I could be? And it would be the littlest thing, like he sighed, he twitched, he squeezed my fingers. But then I discovered one because I was keeping it together really well. And then someone did a really nasty, mean thing to me in business. Like they took advantage of, I was so focused on the book launch, I had to let other things go. And they actually stole a big client. Can you believe this? And this was actually a guy I'd been dating, just to add to the whole thing. So I might have lost it a little bit. But I realized like I had to shift that state. And so I created something that I call JAM, for the gratitude in the morning, the little miracle at night. And then during the day, I discovered that if I was starting to get into a, angry spot, resentful spot, scared spot, because it usually just comes down to fear anyway, what I would do is text a friend and tell them what I appreciate about them. Because the minute you do that, it changes your state, but then ultimately they're going to send you back something super, super sweet and nice too. And so it's a beautiful win-win, right?
I love that. Actually, I haven't heard that before. I'm gonna borrow it.
Model that.
Exactly. No, that's fantastic, because that's the thing. When we can maintain that higher vibration, that's when we get to see the solutions, and that's when we have the motivation and the energy to keep going and to do whatever it takes. And you're right, like, your whole family and ground, it's like 110%. It's like when you focus, if you set your goal here at this level, I always recommend that you focus on the level behind, because then that way you're focusing here, you push right past this one.
Exactly. That's what I figured. I thought, I'll go for 110%, which doesn't exist. Yeah. Because if I fall a little short, it's totally cool. But I also did believe I could do 110%. My son was bipolar, really challenging before the accident. I go, what if this is kind of gives us a little bit of a reset, So, it's actually, he is now better than before the accident. He is so much more self-aware. He has a purpose. Like when he starts giving me, any kind of like, oh, I don't know why I'm here, but I go, honey, you were dead on the street. If you can survive that, you can figure this out. He goes, oh yeah, you're right.
You know what? If that's going to be, he won't be able to have an excuse for the rest of his life now.
Right? I know.
All right. So JJ, what if someone's watching the show right now and they're just like, look, that's easy for you. You could do that, but I don't think I would have the strength, or I wouldn't have the mindset to be able to do that. What advice do you have for someone who's thinking that mindset?
So what's interesting is I had that coach I told you at age 30. She always said, don't wish it was easier, make yourself stronger. And I really do believe we're stronger than we think. We just haven't been put in that situation yet. However, and believe me, when your loved one's life's on the line, it's amazing. You hear the women pulling the cars off their kids. It's amazing how strong you can be when you are forced to be. But again, I come back to, you don't want to wait till you're in that situation. You want to start putting these things into place, because ultimately they're going to up-level your whole life anyway. Because really, it could be the best or the worst day of your life every single day, completely based on your perception and what you do to make it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Well, darling, thank you so much for joining us today. So if people want to connect with you or get their hands on the book, where can we send them to do that?
Easiest one is jjvirgin.com, and we have the super fun contest right now with Warrior Moms. I really want to, I feel like moms, and this includes dog moms, are the unsung heroes. This includes stepmoms, dog moms, all moms, but we're sort of the unsung quiet martyrs out there, and we need to be celebrated. And so we are celebrating warrior moms everywhere, giving out great gifts, big prizes, like including the going to the Rancho Valencia spa for a spa couple days and treatments and all that. So you can nominate people. You'll find about that at warriormombook.com, and where you can nominate yourself or someone else, and they can win great prizes. But also, again, it just goes back to showing that appreciation and sharing that appreciation, because that just increases everyone's vibration.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thanks again, Dale. It was great chatting to you today.
You too.
Now, guys, I encourage you, please share this video. Let's get the word out there. And you can do that by clicking the Facebook and the Twitter share buttons on this page. And don't forget, you can either click the banner to the side or the link underneath this video to go straight through to JJ's website. And after everything is all said and done, just click on the link below the video so you can download the free ebook version of my book, Never in Your Wildest Dreams. So until next time, remember to live large, choose courageously, and love without limits. We'll see you soon.